Patrik996 to have some good news today. Wasn't expecting it, but I welcome all news that's coming out before I leave on vacation, and I come back the day of the draft, so it's all right for me. But finally, the Coyotes are moving on from Zack Kassian and Patrik Nemeth. They bought both contracts out this morning, this afternoon. Zack Kassian, I will say, one of the worst Coyotes players I've ever seen and had to watch. And I had to watch 51 games of this guy playing. I don't know what group to put him in with other bad players. John Hayden, like Zach Ronaldo maybe, but at least Ronaldo was feisty, got into fights. Yes, he was a bonehead at times. Joe Fatale, but at least, he broke his face in a fight. But I honestly think Kassian was one of the worst Coyotes players I've had to see in the past decade, and even more since I've started following the team, around 2011. Patrik Nemeth, maybe a bit surprising, was just a useful depth defenseman. He was scratched for the first handful of games of the season, and then once he got put in the lineup, was never taken out. So I thought the Coyotes were on good terms with him. They liked what he did. But to be honest, both of these buyouts signal to me they just want to get younger and cheaper, obviously, but younger as well. Get some younger players in those positions with way better talent. I think I said it in the restricted free agents video. I want to see Yannick up with the team for a full season. I don't have to have him play every single game, but he needs to be around the team. The coaches need to be hands-on with him. He's a really, really young guy still. Big body, could be a bottom six power forward, and he could take a spot like Kassian and just figure out what you have in Yannick. This guy's been too up and down between both the Roadrunners and the Coyotes, and you just got to see what he is. And Kassian's taking a roster spot from guys like that. Doesn't have to be Yannick. It could be any one of those guys who's on a cheap league minimum contract you want to give more ice time with. Kassian had 2 points in 51 games. Both of them goals. One of them was like a bar down snipe that woke me up from a trance. He averaged about 9 minutes of ice time over the season with the Coyotes and was a -18. Nemeth, 5 points, 5 assists in 75 games played. He averaged about 17.5 minutes with the Coyotes this past season. Maybe with Nemeth gone, they just signed Zuber about a month ago. Maybe he jumps immediately into the Coyotes lineup like we saw with Moser. I think he would go to the Roadrunners first, but you could play with a bunch of young D-men, see what you have, because next season, like next off-season, the Coyotes have 0 defensemen signed, NHL defensemen signed after next season. Moser needs a contract, Valimaki, Soderstrom, even depth guys down in Tucson like Kolyachonok. So, if you're going to extend one of these defensemen, you got to see what they're made of. Maybe Kolyachonok comes back to the Coyotes. He didn't come to the Coyotes at all last season, so we'll see what happens there. In terms of money saved and cap hit and all that, after all said is done, the Coyotes save about $1.8 million in terms of salary by buying these two players out. So they save about $2 million. They just reported $2 million in increased revenue from the year before, their last year in Glendale. So, some money that is saved and money that was earned. So the Coyotes, small potatoes for other teams, but, every cent counts when you're trying to put together an arena proposal. Because they bought these two players out, Kassian was at $3.2 million in terms of cap, and Nemeth was at $2.5 million in terms of cap hit. So now they go from $5 million to $10 million from the cap floor, not even the ceiling, the floor. So they have to spend at least $10 million this offseason. They have 11 out of 23 players signed on their NHL roster. So you're looking at about 10 to 12 players that they need to sign or call up from the Roadrunners. So let's make that number an even 10. Let's say, they call up 2 Roadrunners to increase their NHL roster size. That means they still need to sign 10 guys. They have 7 really important restricted free agents. I did a video on it recently. From order of most expensive to least, probably Michelli and Ingram would be the top two. And then you go to McBain, Fisher, Prosvetov, Yannick, and Nathan Smith, who all need contracts, who are restricted free agents. So that's going to eat into the $10 million. And then on the unrestricted free agent front, the Coyotes basically have no one. They have Connor Mackey and Carcone. If they want to sign those guys or let those guys walk. To me, people are speculating there might be something brewing, something more bigger happening. I don't think so. I think maybe Ingram and Michelli will probably get bigger raises just, because what they did last season demands, higher paychecks. There's talks about Ingram being closer to $2 million. So maybe they want to lock Ingram up longer, knowing that Prosvetov kind of failed his tryout at the end of the last season. So maybe we see, a longer contract for Ingram. Maybe we see more money given to Michelli or McBain or even Fisher, like I said. But I don't think all those guys will equal $10 million. So maybe in free agency, Bill Armstrong and the scouts, they see someone they really want. My pipe dream would be Barbashev. Like I said it in my free agent video, Bill Armstrong knows Barbashev really well from St. Louis. Prototypical Bill Armstrong guy, could play anywhere in your lineup, top line or fourth line or third line. Big body, competes, plays hard, plays in those tough areas. If Bill Armstrong really wants him and management was like, he costs too much money, he's probably demanding $5 million. I said the Coyotes should offer him $4 million. He makes around like $2.2 million right now, so he expects a raise. Even after winning the cup on the top line with Eichel. So maybe Bill Armstrong's like, you know what? I've saved you $2 million. I'm going to offer Barbashev a 5x5. I know this kid. I really want him. He's going to work really well with this team and create that identity of a cactus-like team. And he plays the game Bill Armstrong likes. That could happen. But what could not happen is they don't get any big fish. They just sign a bunch of cheap depth guys and just rotate them out in the bottom six. I've been harping that the Coyotes need to rebuild their bottom six. No longer do I want to see like Brett Ritchie, Kassian, O'Brien playing every game. You need some talent on that third line, especially. Move Fisher down to fourth line. Give Fisher some other prominent teammates. And rebuild that bottom six, because this Coyotes team last season was way too top heavy. They were just a threat to score with their two top lines, and their bottom two lines were just invisible and a bit of a bore to watch. So that's it for me. Really happy that Kassian got bought out. Nemeth, a bit of a surprise, considering they don't have much defensemen in their pipeline and NHL ready defensemen. So we'll see what they do in the NHL free agent market to plug those holes, or they go internally. We'll see if they go out and get a big fish like Barbashev, or, maybe they do another trade where they take on a big cap hit for draft picks, and that $2 million covers most of that salary for that cap hit. But we'll see. So that's it for me. Thank you for watching. If you like what you see, spread the word. And as always, thank you for your support.